Hello, everybody. Hi. Thought I'd get back and say hello to you, and hope everything's going well. And you know now that you don't have to do the final exam. Teachers still have to keep collecting A grades from you. So please keep up with your work. And I've set you another A grade assessment on Mao and the Cultural Revolution to do, and it's one of those compare and contrast questions. So I think everybody's quite confident with that now, and it's not such a big deal. Just please make sure you do it. Okay, then I've got another A grade for you. I thought I'd use this video, so I'm sure you're missing me, and great advantage of a video is that if you get fed up with me, unlike in the classroom, you can just turn me off, can't you? So I'll say a few words about the source, the context of the source the source question that I've given you on the Cultural Revolution. You've learnt about the Great Leap Forward, and you've seen that it's Mao's very special attempt to try and overcome the lack of capital and technology in China to leap forward using the great human resources that China has. And you can see that strategy of mass mobilization went disastrously wrong, with huge social, economic and environmental effects on China. And by the time that China rose back on that, you've got a pretty devastated country, and Mao's reputation as well is badly damaged. He remains in ultimate position of authority, but more practical and less ideological people like Li Shaoqi get on with trying to patch China back together again. And Mao is complaining in this period, in the early mid-60s, that people are very polite to him, but he feels that power has sort of slipped away. He complains that they treat him like a dead ancestor, which is very nice Chinese way of looking at it. That they're polite, but he's dead. And an ambitious, narcissistic creature like Mao is plotting his comeback, and he has people around him like his wife, Madame Mao, and like the Minister of Defense, Lin Bao, who support a kind of a Maoist comeback, a Maoist revival. Lin Bao is actually responsible for publishing, beginning in 1966, the famous Red Book with all those quotations in it, which students were encouraged to read, and became the great kind of motivational Bible of the Cultural Revolution. So what is the Cultural Revolution? And why did it happen? It's a very strange episode again, isn't it? Well, one of the ways to understand, of course, is that it's Mao's comeback. Mao is involved in a political power struggle with the so-called pragmatists, like Li Shaoqi, like Deng Xiaoping, and this is his way to outmaneuver them. And he uses his great cult of personality, really, to go over their heads and to speak to the people, to relaunch his career, in particular to focus on the young, the students. Remember that Chinese population in those days, it really is a triangle. There's a lot of young people there, a lot of energy there that Mao can use against his rivals, right? And this is the plan of the Great Leap Forward, and we see mass rallies with Mao almost like a rock star. This is kind of late 60s stuff. Mao is the rock star who makes the appearance there, and we've got rallies of 1 million people, young people come to see Mao and come to hear him, and he mobilizes the young against the establishment, against his rivals, but also against the authority of China, also against what are called the Four Olds, including traditional Chinese culture like Confucianism. So he's using it there against his rivals, and he's very effective. And in the violence and chaos that ensues, as we know, Li Shaoqi eventually dies, and Deng Xiaoping spends many years kind of in internal exiles, and he manages to sideline the pragmatists in the leadership and put himself very much back in pole position. I mean, there's also an ideological element to this, because Mao calls this permanent revolution, and that there was a belief, partly based on looking at what happened in the Soviet Union, with the nomenclature or the privileges for the elite there, that the argument being that China had allowed a new ruling class to emerge, a kind of a new bourgeoisie to emerge within the party that had the privileges, and they weren't going anywhere, and China needed to be sort of shook up, right, to really shake the whole thing up through this kind of cultural revolution, in order to bring back fairness and justice, and to stop this class getting itself stuck at the top there, which is the great concern that Mao had. So you've also got this kind of ideological aim within it. You've seen what that meant for China. It meant chaos, it meant huge disruption, it affected the economy very badly, as factories had to identify managers that were old school and that were didn't like Mao. It became a kind of a purge. So production was badly hit. Factories spent a lot of time in these kind of ritual denunciations and the so-called struggle sessions, where people would be paraded in front of them and humiliated and had to confess their sins. So there's a real purge kind of element, in an irrationality in what happened here. And we also have seen what happens in schools and universities, which basically no longer function because the teachers and the professors are a big target, and these guys don't need a lockdown to get their baccalaureate cancelled. They take things in their own hands, and the teachers are overthrown is the word, and many teachers are humiliated, etc. Like I've mentioned in the struggle sessions that take place. So what in some ways looks like a pretty crazy period in Chinese history, the Cultural Revolution, and already by the early 1970s, people are looking, even Mao, I think, is looking to say, oh, good grief, how can we actually roll back and try and restrict and control what we have unleashed here in the Cultural Revolution. And we see that with the army getting involved to disband the Red Guards and the different factions within the Red Guards. The Cultural Revolution is not something that modern China likes to talk about. It keeps Mao is a great dead ancestor, of course, for China today. It keeps Mao's reputation intact as far as it can. But the Cultural Revolution is not spoken about. It's embarrassing, and it damages the reputation of communism in China.